You kidding me? You're going to debate this? You don't have the balls, Gelded Beagle.
Oh, really?
Wait a second. Let me get my magnifying glass.
Yeah, I got the balls. Let's do this thing. Okay, so we got Gillette Castle State Park. Let's look in to see what we can find. Let's go here and watch this. This is, let me preface this. This is Spartan Red's live stream, and he's on here talking about this structure. And so let's give him his day in court, and that way you know where we're coming from.
Again, why build like this? Why can't we have normal bricks? Well, they are normal bricks, but they're heat damaged bricks. Look. I've got a better shot where you can see the dripping above that window.
Wow.
Look. Starting to remember the year now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember
a year in review of seeing such evidence. Oh my, I'll spoil you though.
I remember those days right there.
You're all my spoiled children. Oh my, Dean, look.
Yeah.
They say bricks can't balloon rock. My. You can see why he doesn't want me to fucking bring evidence to support what I'm saying.
Oh, of course, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't. You kidding me? You're going to debate this? You don't have the balls, Gelded Beagle. People like you are ridiculous. Your ilk are annoying and now very. It's the word I'm looking for. It's over. It's over. You know, you're not going to respond, or you're just going to do this every night.
It's very boring to me because they're not challenging me in any way, shape or form. You can't challenge this evidence. That's why I look for this particular type of evidence. What's going on here then? What's all this here? Look at the bricks. Look what's happened to the bricks. Look for yourself. Look at the bricks. Do you think they build in this fashion? No. Why would they? What aesthetic value has this got? None. This is a consequence of the X Factor event.
Yeah.
My friend. Different angle. I mean, come on. What does this to bricks?
Reservation, please.
I stand behind all the pictorial evidence I put up.
Yeah.
Disprove the evidence. Don't try to disprove me.
Hey, they're selling it to you. They're putting it up for you to sell and to look at. It's evidence, damn it. It's right there.
Look at the edges. Look how this is melted over the tops of windows. Whatever this was. All of them. All melted. Look.
Yeah.
Hey, all of them. This is melt. This is not for show. This is what happened to the building.
No.
Look. It's absolutely mad.
Look at that aperture right there on the right. Holy shit. Where's
Yeah.
Hold on here. What's up?
You see the heat expansion is bringing the bricks expanding into the right, which has made this angle.
Which means that was the best aperture at one time.
Yeah. You're not going to make this aperture different from this one. This window different from this. No, all the windows probably the same standard size, but of this type. I'm not going to make one. Oh, let's make one crooked, Albert.
Okay, let's do it.
And for those of you who want to know the name and go and check it out yourself, that's the name of it.
There it is. Yeah, I got a few razors with that fucking name on it.
Yeah, but some people moan. Oh, he never tells you where it is. But you know what?
Right.
My answer to that is, you know what, people? It's not a bloody geography lesson.
Nope.
Grow up. And when I tell you, ask me somewhere. I was very obliging today. Someone asked me where something was, and I gave them the location. So sometimes I do, but normally I don't because I just say it's everywhere.
Well, I'm going to start trying to do that myself.
I was having a particularly good morning until certain events were brought to my attention.
Yeah.
And after that, I was mean and horrible all day. No, I wasn't. You know, I wasn't. Again, look at how the bricks are all popped out, but they're all damaged. Look, sitting away from the main body of the bricks. Why would they do that? Very attracted to something, aren't they? To make them pop out. Boom.
So what he was talking about is that I challenged him to a duel last week, and I told him that, you know, I would like him to come on my live stream, and I don't want him to bring any of his pictures because that shit's not going to help him. And what I was trying to do was give him an opportunity to explain himself without all the parlor tricks. And so if you have a theory, you should be able to come and explain your theory. And what I was asking was, how the hell does a brick morph into a stone? And I wanted the answer to that one question. And he should have been able to back his theory up with just words, but he couldn't do it. But see, I knew he couldn't do it because I'm a lot smarter than he fucking thinks I am. Okay. So then I challenged him again and told him to bring everything he had. Has he contacted me? No, he's too much of a pussy to do that. He'll never do that. And Mr. Spartan Red, if you're listening, now you've grown a pair, please come and talk to Mr. Biggs. You can come on my live stream and we can, you know, go at it. Okay. You're more than welcome. Hit me up on stuffbeagle@gmail.com. That being said, we're going to go and we're going to look at everything we can on this building, because looking at pictures and making statements that this is that and that is this and this building is a melted building, you know, and giving zero evidence that it is or how it could happen or anything like that, just making these statements is not how you do research. So let's actually research this building. So let's do it. I got the balls.
Hey everybody, it's Paul, and I'm standing inside the entrance to the Great Hall of the castle. Now, before I show you around, give you the grand tour of the room, I want to take a few steps back and just tell you a little bit about the castle building itself. Now, the construction started in 1914. It was completed in 1919. Now, that being said, it's not like the castle was completely done by then. It was certainly move-in condition, but there were some pieces added later on. William Gillette expanded the castle between 1923 and 1926. That's when he added an in-law apartment on the third floor of the castle, as well as the tower rooms. Now, as far as the work being done, as you may remember when we showed you around the main entrance hall, the Portis Walker Company were the general contractors. They were out of Hartford. Now, that being said, William Gillette still designed everything himself, and he certainly had a lot of attention to detail when it came to making sure the castle was built as he wanted it. Now, there were about 20 men working on this place, so about 15 stonemasons, 5 master carpenters, primarily working on the team, although there were certainly other people who worked on various aspects of the castle as well. Total cost for this house was $1.1 million. Now, as you hopefully saw in the biography video, William Gillette was an extremely successful stage actor, so he had no problem paying for this house. And keep in mind, that $1.1 million was over 100 years ago. Now, as far as what that would equate to today, it's hard to say for sure, but if I were to give a best guess, I'd say maybe about $25 to $30 million. Now, 101 years ago when the house was completed, it was extremely modern for the time. Full utilities, electricity, running water, steam, heat. So for example, we have the light switches just to my left. As far as the material that you see here, you see a lot of stonework. The stone is all local stone. It's just regular field stone. William Gillette was pretty smart, so he put out word to local farmers that he needed the stone. After all, this is Connecticut. We practically grow rocks around here. So the farmers cleared the stone off their own farmland, and then they brought it up here for Gillette by the oxen cartload. Now, in between the stones, the mortar is red. It's a little strange, but he does it by design. He uses dark mortar in the main entrance hall. That's for dramatic effect. He wants you to feel as though you're in a really old castle. Now, it's cool, but it's creepy. So he had his masons dye the mortar red just to brighten up the rest of the house. Now, the wood that you see throughout most of the castle is going to be southern white oak, just like this. It was brought up from Tennessee and Virginia and then hand carved by local carpenters. Now, William Gillette was smart. realized it's a very large house, it's a very heavy structure. He wanted to make sure it lasts forever. So the entire building was actually framed in steel. So for example, if you take a look over here, this is actually a steel I-beam covered up by stone. And then if you take a look overhead, you can see on the ceilings large wooden beams, which are actually just I-beams that are covered up by the wood. They just pieced it together around the steel. And that's the original frame of the house. So we really love that stuff. Now, looking all over the walls, you'll find we have this grass matting. It's sort of strange because as customized as the house is, this matting was extremely common for the time. William Gillette found it in a department store catalog. The store was Wanamaker's out of New York and Philly. Now the thing is, it's not meant to be on the walls. It's carpet tiles. That's what everyone else used it for, but Gillette thought it would work better on the walls. At the very least, it's there because it fits the natural feel of the house. It's very rustic, very comfortable. I'd like to think Gillette was probably smart enough. He saw some of the practical uses there. So it's soundproofing, added insulation, absorbs humidity. If he ever had to replace any of the tiles, it's pretty easy. He just went into a catalog, ordered some more, and he could just replace the individual squares themselves.
One, he said that it was built with field stone. So that's really important. Which is, I agree with that it looks like field stone, it smells like field stone, it works like field stone, it's probably more than likely field stone. Okay. I believe, okay, I realize this guy's official narrative. Okay, that's fine. But if it looks like a damn field stone, I'm going with field stone before I go with that thing was a brick that morphed into a stone. Until I hear some kind of Disneyland magical fairy dust that you sprinkle onto it and it turns it into a brick to a stone, until I hear some evidence as to how that happens, then I'm not going to believe you. Okay, you've got to come to me with some not a picture and say this is that. You've got to bring some. You've got to explain yourself. You got some explaining to do, Mr. Spartan Red, Mr. Jerry DeCamp, Mr. All the Meltologists. Okay, all of you are suspect. Okay, every one of you. Another thing I noticed in there, that the guy said that the house was framed in steel. And I looked into this, and the house, the house is a steel frame, and everything is built on the steel frame. Okay. That's really fucking interesting, y'all. Okay. How often do you have a steel frame house? Number one. Number two, do you have a melted building that has a steel frame and the steel didn't melt, but the rock did? Okay. Well, what about all the wood in that house? Did the wood all happen to burn away and they added all the wood back? Or what about the wood that goes through the stone? I mean, there's all these, it brings up all these stupid questions that we have to ask now. And maybe that's the whole point of these Meltology people. Maybe their whole point is to stump us and waste our fucking time. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. We're not done. Okay, and Gillette had a train that he ran around. He had both a steam train, mini train, and an electric train. And if you've been a viewer of mine for a while, you probably know that I believe that the mini trains were used in the Underground Railroads, which were an actual Underground Railroad. So when they're talking about the Underground Railroads for the slaves, they're actually talking about an Underground Railroad. But he had an Underground Railroad. So this is an old film of actually Gillette himself playing with his train.
Ever since I was an infant, and for all I know before, I've had the idea that I'd like to drive a locomotive. People didn't tell me that I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, but I've often heard that I was born with a steam engine in my mouth. And at last I've got one. I had to build one so as to drive it. It's a long while since that occurred, but now I've got my wish at last. And I'd like to see if some of you would like to come and take a ride, or maybe. We'll have a little ride around the place. What do you say? All right, we'll do it. Good thing, yes. All right. Goodbye.
Okay, what else we got? Let me see what this is. I'm not real sure.
We started probably late September.
Okay, let me explain this. Now that train used to go all around the Gillette Castle property. It's now gone. They actually, I think they have it in a museum now at the property or so. Anyways, it's still around, but the tracks have been pulled up. The tunnels are still there, and they've turned into a walking trail. This is now I've sped this up, so be forgiving, but this is some renovation work they did, and they're fixing the retaining wall. So it's more stuff for our research.
We started probably late September 2019, taking down the existing wall, and we were using everything that's on site was gathered and numbered and put to the side, and then as we reconstructed, we reused all the existing rocks and flagstone that were here. We started out with tearing the wall down, and of course we took it down some by hand and some by machine, and then once we got down and started digging to get to the bottom of the footing, we hit ledge, because this wall, when the existing wall is a dry belt wall, and the new wall is a concrete foundation with a brick shelf, and then the stones were all cut in half to be 6-inch veneer, and then we veneered the actual concrete retaining wall, which makes this wall a lot stronger and avoid of any collapsing or frost heaving because of the concrete reinforced wall behind it. So then, like I said, we got to the ledge, and we had to go deeper. So we didn't really want to do any blasting because of the nature of the castle and the damage that could do. So we actually laid it all out like a grid system and drilled holes into the ledge, anywhere from 12 inches to 42 inches deep in the ledge, probably like 8 inches on center. And we filled those holes with chemical, and overnight the chemical expands and cracks. The next morning we come in and we move the ledge. And that's how we did that process. Once we got all of that out of the way and dug down the bottom of the footing, we formed the footings, installed rebar, and poured the footings. And then the same thing with walls, on top of the footing, with walls and the rebar, poured that, and then we were able to start putting the stones all back together. And that's as far as the retaining wall goes. Once we got to the top, then we just capped it with regular rocks, and the boulders that you see on top there is how that was capped off. As far as the stairway goes, same process. We were able to dig that out with a machine. Luckily with that, the ledge wasn't as high up in elevation as the wall, so we were able to get to the bottom of our footing for all of these pilasters that you see, and the stairs. And then we put flagstone walks back together. We put new granite treads in. The old treads were a mix of flagstone and fieldstone treads, but these are granite treads. And then we had to put in, for ADA code, we had to put in the handrails that you see. That wasn't in the original before we took it down, but because of code, when you reinstall stairs, you got to put the handrails back in.
Okay, and these Meltology people are questioning why you would build a stone wall. Why would you build out of these stones? And so I've got a little video showing this is not the Gillette property, but this is how they do it. So we'll take a look at this and see what we can learn from some actual stonemasons.
Started probably late September 2019, taking down
You muted yourself, Biggs.
I'd like to show you a special construction site. It's about the preparation and construction of a mortared natural stone wall. Mostly regional stones were used in this case, specifically a light gray wacke. In addition, if possible, a mortar with the corresponding color should be used. Once all materials are on site, then you still need two experts who can construct a wall the same style as the castle. And there they are, the natural stone specialists Nico and Vangeli. They first put on a mason's core to make it easier to align the wall and achieve a proper inclination. Because the wall should be slightly wider at the bottom than at the top, the cords are attached to pins so that they can be moved up and down. Now it depends on the experience of the two masons. Each stone is shaped and adjusted with the hammer. The gray wacke sometimes is very porous and therefore breaks easier, which makes the process more difficult. The ready mix mortar is mixed on site with water in a mixing machine and is used immediately. The lower part of the retaining wall has only one viewing side. However, the back of the wall must also be built with stones and mortar, so that the wall is stable later. Nico places special emphasis on the cornerstones, which must have two viewing sides with almost 90 degrees to each other, as well as fit the underlying stones so that no double cross joints occur. It is important to build the wall without two cross joints on top of each other, not only for stability but also for the appearance. So Nico and Vangeli keep carving, adjusting, and hewing the stones row by row. Some natural stones strongly absorb moisture. Therefore, this mortar is particularly suitable because it can also be used as grout at the same time. The joints are being filled and smeared. Now the wall has almost reached its final height. The rear upper wall will be visible. Vangeli closes the joints carefully here too. The top row is now laid. For this purpose, the court is pushed up to the final height and is used to get the top layer nice and straight. Now, in addition to avoiding double cross joints, attention must be paid to the side and top views and the correct stone thickness. Then you get a level and even appearance of the masonry top. The processing of the last row of stones is therefore a little more elaborate. Here it is particularly important that the joints are well mortared and smeared, so that later the least amount of water will seep into the wall. A cover plate is omitted in this case for aesthetic reasons. It's always amazing how these two brothers create such a straight wall out of supposedly misshapen natural stones. Here, the last stone is still missing in the top row on the corner. Nico closes the gaps with smaller stones, ensuring that the joints that are visible later are equal width apart and installed at the correct height. The masonry work is now done, and the cords can be removed. Now the joints can be closed with fresh mortar. The natural stone used here is relatively hard with smooth surface. Therefore, the joints can be smeared well without the excess grout immediately adhering to the stone. The mortar now hardens for a few hours before it goes into the final processing phase because the wall is not done yet. The excess grout material is now removed from the stones in several steps. First, the rough part of the mortar is cleaned with a wire brush. At the corner, Nico works very carefully so that the joint is not damaged. In the second step, the fine portion of the mortar is swept with a hand brush and at the same time provides the joint with the desired finer surface. The cleaning of the joints really brings out the stones and makes the wall look even more natural. The deeper the gap is swept, the more natural the wall will look later. In this case, it's about optically adapting the joint of the surrounding walls. You can clearly see how the stones of the new wall are now really coming into their own. The joints will become brighter after some time and adapt even better to the existing walls.
So this is how it's done. This is how you build a stone wall. And you know, they can do it today just like they could do it back then. So we can build like that. Why do we build like that? Well, because the customer fucking wants it that way. The owner of the building wants it to be designed that way. Why? What makes me think that it's not melted brick? Because it's fucking fieldstone. Okay, and that's how you fucking do it. It's not real fucking difficult. Okay, here's the problem. You guys are fucking high. Okay, get off the fucking drugs and then do your research. Okay, that's a challenge to you. Don't do drugs unless you're on your, free time and, you're not doing research. Then get high if you want. Get fucking high. I don't care. I mean, shit, it's okay. Get fucking high if you want. But getting high and doing research, guess what you're going to come up with? Bunch of bullshit. We're not done. Oh, we're not done. You know how I roll. We ain't done. Gillette Castle. This is an official wiki indoctrination page. Gillette Castle State Park straddles the towns of East Haddam and Lyme, Connecticut in the United States, sitting high above the Connecticut River. The castle was originally a private residence commissioned and designed by William Gillette, 1853 to 1937, an American actor who is most famous for his portrayal of Sherlock Holmes on stage. Gillette lived at his estate from 1919 to 1937. That is the Gillette Castle. The estate was purchased by the state of Connecticut in 1943 for a price of $29,000. Let's see. William Gillette's castle, called Seventh Sister. That's what he called it, which is interesting because that harkens back to the Pleiades star system, which were known as the Seven Sisters, and renamed Gillette Castle by Connecticut State in 1943. Was built between 1914 and 1919, with an addition completed in 1924 on a 184-acre tract on the top of the southmost of a chain of hills known as the Seven Sisters. Gillette died having no children, and his will precluded the possession of his home by any blithering sap head who has no conception of where he is or with what surrounded. Okay. Basically, he left his property to no one, that's interesting. The state of Connecticut took over the property in 1943, renaming it Gillette Castle State Park. It was added to the National Registry of Historic Places in 1986. Let's see. Y'all can go back and read this if you want. Three-story this was interesting. Let's see. Gillette designed the home and personally overlooked every phase of construction. Construction was performed by the Porteous Walker Company, a leading contractor and woodworking firm based in Hartford, Connecticut, founded by Gillette's childhood friend Robert Porteous. It had been described as being designed in a medieval Gothic or American fairy tale mixed with European flair style. Okay, let me make sure y'all are not full screen. Obviously, I always forget that, y'all. Sorry. Let's see. American European flair style, or as a weird blending of Victorian and arts and crafts. In the past, it was even been called Gillette's Folly, which is a common term that was used for a lot of these homes back then, which I find very interesting. 3-story plus tower, 24 room, 14,000 square foot home was built of wood, cement, and local Connecticut field stone. Wait a minute. What is field stone? Fieldstone. Fieldstone is a naturally occurring type of stone which lies at or near the surface of the earth. Fieldstone is a nuisance for farmers seeking to expand their land under cultivation, but at some point it began to be used as construction material. Strictly speaking, it is a stone collected from the surface of fields where it occurs naturally. Collections of fieldstones which have been removed from arable land or pasture to allow for more effective agriculture are called clearance cairns. Cairns. I don't know if I'm saying that right. In practice, fieldstone is any architectural stone used in its natural shape and can be applied to stones recovered from the topsoil or subsoil. Although fieldstone is generally used to describe such material when used for exterior walls, it has come to include its use in other ways, including garden features and interiors. It is sometimes cut or split for use in architecture. And there is a wall. A meltologist would say that this is a balloon rock. So they would say, literally, and I'm not joking about this, a meltologist would look at this picture right here and say, look, these bricks didn't balloon rock, but these ones did. And they'll say, oh, that's because the heat rose up through these and ballooned them up, and then, but the heat didn't get this far and just happened to be, exactly in one particular line across the top. And, the wall is still, true and level because, well, I don't know, it's a Tetris game. What the fuck are you talking about, you crazy people? Bunch of nut jobs. Oh, let's get back to this. Okay, fieldstone supported by steel. Okay, let me read that again. 3-story plus tower, 24 room, 14,000 square foot home was built of wood, cement, and local Connecticut fieldstone, supported by a steel framework. And you remember in the video, the guy was saying that the behind the stones is a steel framework, and up in the rafters that they're steel, they're not wood, and they have wood covering over the steel framework. Okay. The exterior of the home is covered in fieldstone. The exterior of the home is covered in fieldstone. Okay. Woodwork within the home is hand-hewn southern white oak. In some places, beams were set directly into the stones, anchored only by cement. The walls, in particular, were constructed similarly to a stage set, lacking 2x4 studs and mortar in critical places. It has been noted it was a wonder the building didn't collapse before the castle's multi-million-dollar restoration. So the castle has been restored. I tried to find pictures of the restoration. I did not find many. Insulation included seaweed and paper. Insulation includes seaweed and paper. Very weird. It took 20 workers from 1914 to 1915, 5 years to complete the construction, totaling a cost of over $1 million at the time. In the years Gillette lived in the home, he led and supervised thousands of refinements by local craftsmen. The style of the home interior reflects craftsman aesthetic popularized by Gustav Stickley. A number of oddities exist inside the home and were personally designed by Gillette and said to be examples of his creative genius. Now, this is really interesting, some of the stuff that's in this house, y'all. I'm just going to tell you, this house is freaky deaky. It's got some very interesting things going on. 47 unique doors and door locks throughout the castle. Each door is equipped with an external steampunk-like latch intricately carved of wood. I'll show you some of those. Trick locks made unlocking these doors a puzzle. Very cool. Unique furnishings including built-in couches and movable table on tracks. Light switches carved out of wood. A grand upper floor balcony running the length of the downstairs main room. The walls on a second floor are notably short. This architectural feature is theorized to have been used to enhance Gillette's stature, making him appear taller to guests looking up at him from below. A handcrafted bar which opened with a secret latch. A series of mirrors above the great hall allowing him to view his visitors from his bedroom. This design is thought to have helped Gillette spy on his guests and make dramatic entrances. A fire suppression system, complete with a water tower, integrated into the home's design that fed a unique manual fire sprinkler on the second floor overlooking the living room. Secret doors, passageway, and room. A secret door near the staircase leading to the rest of the home allowed Gillette to swiftly, unexpectedly, and theatrically appear to welcome or startle his guest. The secret room is only accessible by a staircase revealed after pulling down a handle. The room is small and contains a fireplace. A grand wooden staircase to the upper floors. The home was notably decorated with a number of Tiffany lamps made of broken bottle fragments. It also had a heated bed. At one time, Gillette shared his home with up to 17 cats. Okay. For them, he designed a finely crafted cat toys. Gillette was particularly fond of his 3-mile-long narrow gauge railroad with elaborate system of switches, trestles, bridges, turnouts, and a tunnel. Visitors, which reportedly included Albert Einstein, Helen Hayes, and Charlie Chaplin, could ride the railroad around the estate, speeding along the 100-foot-plus cliffs of the Connecticut River. The railroad was complete with steam engine with an electric engine. There were two of them. There was a steam engine and an electric engine. Let me be clear about that. And were later purchased by Lake Compounce in Bristol, Connecticut. The remaining tracks were pulled up and the railroad converted to a walking trails. The engines were donated to the park in 1992 and are now on display at the Visitor Center on the ground. So they're still on the property. Gillette's Grand Central Station train stop still remains along the replica of its roof of a metal cat figure. The grounds also contain a root cellar, walking paths with near vertical steps, a 2-story gable-ended vernacular dwelling for servants, a small period barn, stone arched bridges, wooded trestles spanning up to 40 feet, and a fish pond. Okay, so let's look at some pictures of this place. So this is an interior shot, and this stone right here that you see, and here, these stone columns, and then the beams right here, these are steel, and that is steel right there too. So all this framing here is steel, and then it's covered in the field stone, not melted brick, and then the beams right here are steel, and they're covered in the oak wood. So that is very, very cool. I don't think I've ever seen that in a residential house of this period. That could be a first for me. This is an old picture of the house. There are very few old pictures of the house. Now, is this house an old world house? Very possible. Did Gillette build this house? Possibly not. Probably not. I don't know. I wasn't there. It's in the time frame. If it's before 1943, it's suspect to me. So this could be an old world house. I don't know. That's not my speculation here. I don't have that answer. But I will point out a few things. Now, this is during the restoration. there was, I don't know if this might be the only picture I found of the restoration. I tried to find more. So one thing I noticed about this house is it doesn't seem to, and I looked into this, it doesn't seem to have a basement. It doesn't seem to have a wine cellar. It doesn't seem to have a lower level. I have not seen a mud flood window on it yet, although this may be, but I'm not sure. It's hard to say what that is. But then you got this right here would be like a awning. Why would you build like this? Because you want to, because it's different. You know, somebody wanted to build a whacked out looking castle looking house out of fieldstone. That's what you have here. Okay, this is somebody's dream. Why did they build it like this? Because they fucking wanted to. Because they could. Because they had more money than they had sense. I don't fucking know why they built it exactly. Would I build it this way? No. Would you build it this way? Probably not. But to say that this is melted, what is your proof that this is melted? Look, this thing, look how straight it is, okay? If these were bricks and they started popcorning, okay, explain to me, Jiffy Pop crew, okay, how is this thing going to remain level and true? How? I mean, that's a mystery of fucking science. I want you to explain how this remains level and true. How? You can't explain how a brick turns into a stone. You can't explain how it remains level and true. Oh, the aperture. Who gives a shit? Look, they did all kinds of weird shit. Maybe they wanted to take the stone into the aperture. They use these fancy fucking words to distract you from their bullshit. It's just horse shit they've come up with. Somebody wanted to build the stone over into this window. Why? Because they fucking wanted to. Because they could. Okay? That's the reason why. It's not because of some kind of heat event. Oh, it's an X factor. X factor. Explain X factor. Okay, are there melted buildings? I believe there are melted buildings. But see, I've got to dig through horse shit like this before I can get there. Okay, you've got this right here. If this is brick and this ballooned rock, well, what about this here, this wood right here? That wood that's going through it, I mean, that wood didn't catch fire and burn and fall down? Huh? Are you telling me that the stone can get so goddamn hot it fucking turns into a fucking piece of popcorn, yet the fucking wood is still, good to go? What the fuck are y'all smoking, man? Y'all are high as a motherfucker. And you know what? I want every single one of you that's watching this right now, whoever, if you're watching this on Rewind, I want you to go to Spartan Red's channel and Jerry DeCamp's channel. I want you to blast them with questions. I want you to watch their channels, and I want you to ask them questions. When they say something stupid, I want you to ask them about it. I want you to see what happens to you. They're going to delete you. They're going to ignore you. They're going to tell you to go watch their videos. They're going to tell you to go watch their documentaries. They ain't going to answer your questions. I want you to see for yourself what these people are up to. Okay, go watch Spartan Red's channel. Go watch Jerry DeCamp's channel. When the Buildings Cry, he's on 6.0 channel now. He keeps getting them deleted because he's a fucking tweaker. Look, you can see up under the awnings right here. You can see how they did the flagstone coming down just like an awning right there. See? Why did they go into the window? Because the window is behind the stone. It doesn't matter if you go into the window. It's an artistic expression of architecture, you fucking moron. Use your fucking head, people. How in the hell can a brick get so fucking hot that it melts and balloon rocks, yet the mortar is still there? How? How is all this still level and true? I've asked these questions. You know what they said? Well, you didn't watch our documentary. Here's a door in this place. That is a lock mechanism for a door. There's like 47 doors. Each one has a different locking mechanism. I pulled a few just so you could see these things. They are so freaking cool. Here again, we got wood in the stone. It's still in good shape. What the X Factor ignores, heating up wood, but it burns and melts the shit out of brick, and it can turn a brick into a balloon. These are simple fucking questions. Hey, Spartan Red should have been able to come on my channel, should have been able to answer the question how a brick turns into a stone without any fucking pictures, without any videos, just with his mind. But he couldn't do it because he's a fucking bullshit fucking scam artist. That's what his fucking problem is. He's a fucking scam artist. He's a loser. Okay? And I know that you people don't understand why I'm so pissed off about this. I get it. I understand. But you need to understand that I am looking from a different perspective. I have seen what's going on in our community behind the scenes with the other creators. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes, okay? You don't know as a viewer. And believe me, that's a good thing. Because if you knew, some people would be losing some subs. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm trying to get this thing worked out. We need to study meltology, but we need to do it properly. And this shit of looking at a building and say, look, oh, wow, it's a melted building. Oh, brick love. Oh, let me pat your ass. Oh, yeah, that's such a good picture. Oh, good find. Look at the aperture. Oh. I mean, it's just like, it's a fucking circle jerk is what it is. Excuse my French. This is a picture of the construction workers that supposedly built the house. Did they build this house? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if they built it. And knowing what I know from my other research, they probably didn't build it. They probably didn't. This is the root cellar. Okay, this is where they would, store their vegetables, and it would keep them cold. Now, this is very interesting to me because I found this picture looking for a basement on the facility, and I did not find a basement. There's no mention of a basement. I tried to find architectural plans. I could not find architectural plans. But I did find this, and this is outside of the house. This is not attached to the house. Now, I find that really interesting. I don't find any mud flood windows. I don't find any evidence of basement. I don't find any wording. There are these little things here, which are the only thing I have found that look anything like mud flood windows. But here's the reason I'm interested in that. If this isn't a mud flooder, then it's possible that this was built by us, that Gillette actually did build this, and they steel framed this and then built it with fieldstone. It's very possible he built this. It's absolutely possible. People say, oh, we didn't build everything. Well, there's some things I think we did build, and this might be one of them. This very well could be some man's dream that had more money than he had sense, and he built this amazing structure. Now, it's not personally my liking. There's the fireplace. This isn't a great picture. Let's move on, see if we can find what else we can find. That's a terrible picture. We're not even gonna look at that crap. See, there's fieldstone. I mean, does that oh God. See how they've got the I don't know if you can see this, but you remember the video we just watched where the stonemasons created the corners differently than they did the walls? If you look closely here, you can see that same thing in the corner of this wall right here. And why are they popcorning out from the building, as they would say? Oh, they're popcorning away from the building. Why would you build it like that? Because it's artistic expression. It's because the man he was on dope too, and he decided to build him a mushroom castle. Okay, he took a whole bunch of mushrooms and he looked at the contract and said, here's a stack of money, and here's on a piece of paper, here's what I want you to make me. And the guy's like, all right, why not? See, that might be a mud flood window right there, but is it a mud flood window? I don't know. It's too hard to tell. I can't really see. I haven't really looked at these pictures. This is the first time I've looked at them other than grabbing them off I just looked for high resolution stuff as much as I could. There's a lot of pictures of this place out there. So I just grabbed some. I mean, just look at this, oh my gosh, this balcony. Oh man, that is just too cool. So I mean, look at how it's this wave, right? Well, okay. Oh my goodness, one fell out. You know, no, this is for drainage. That's so the water can drain off the porch. I used to build decks, and that's done in decks. Look at this. Okay, so these bricks just happened to these ones decided to flatten themselves instead of balloon out. Where's the logic in that? Look at the lines here, absolutely straight and level. Even though that these freaking things are different sizes, they're still straight and level and true. Explain how it's possible that a fucking brick can turn into a fucking piece of popcorn and remain true and level. How? If it really truly did melt, and we've seen melted bricks, it goes all over the place. It melts like a fucking candle. It does not look like this. I'm going to drill this shit in y'all's people's head until somebody hears me. See, there's that window we were looking at. Now, is that a mud flood window? I don't know. I mean, look here. Here's the level down here. I don't think that's a mud flood window. I don't know. I don't know. See, here again, we got the wood in the stone. You know, did the melting just happen to ignore that wood right there? I ain't gonna mess with that wood. I'm an X factor. I can do whatever I want to. Oh yeah, I can turn a brick into a piece of popcorn, but wood, I mean, I can't touch wood. Oh man, will I look like a fucking beaver? Here's an interior shot, and there's that crazy ass walling that he put on. That's just crazy. This oak wood interior is just insane. And remember, these are steel I-beams right here. So it's a steel structure. That's steel right there. It's covered in wood, but it's steel. Okay. Well, why did the steel not melt? If it's this X factor event, it was so fucking hot it turned a brick into a stone. How did it not melt the steel? I mean, how? Why? It's hot enough to melt a brick, but not hot enough to melt steel. I mean, come on. Seriously, I don't have the balls. I do have the balls. Don't challenge me. Don't do that. That'll just get you knocked down. Come on. Bring it on, Cletus. You're going to walk over here, but you're going to go back limping. I ain't no chump. I've been awake 14 and a half years. You think you're my first campfire? Shit. I'll climb many mountains, motherfuckers. Come on. Bring it on. Meltology. Bring it on. Right here. My viewers are tired of this shit. So am I. But we ain't done. We ain't done. Now, this is one of those locking mechanisms. Stairway to the balcony. They were talking about that earlier, I believe. That's an older photo, I believe. Here's another of them locking mechanisms. Incredible. I've never seen anything like that. There's some of that woodwork. Look at that. That is quality. And you know, another thing I've noticed is that this Gillette guy, even though he spent a lot of money on this, he's not flashy. To be honest with you, he's really not a flashy. His decor, I mean, he's not trying to be, you know, king of the castle. You know what I mean? He's I don't know. He probably was a pretty down to earth guy, you know. I mean, how many pictures do we need to look at? I mean, you know, Spartan showed us one or two. I mean, let's look at all we can look at. Why not? You can't look at one or two pictures and just, you know, have somebody tell you it's damn melted and then just walk away. Well, it's melted. Moving on. Let's go look at another one. Oh, yeah, that one's melted too. And everything you look at, you say is melted. That's all they do. They get high. They look at pictures and say it's melted. And some of you people believe them. Okay. Not putting you down, but look, they have a great presentation. Okay. They sound good. Okay. They look good on paper. Okay. I get it. Okay. Unfortunately, I didn't look very close to them at first, and I believe they're horseshit too. But it wasn't until I needed to, I was trying to have a conversation with Truth Seeker 69, and so I was doing my homework on her to find out, what her research was about so that we could have a better conversation, because I feel that's what you should do when you have a conversation with somebody, is do your fucking homework. And when I started looking into her, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. These are light switches, y'all. That's what you're looking at, is light switches, believe it or not. But when I started looking at her, I found out her work was, there was some major problems there, and I questioned her on it, and I wasn't getting a response. So I decided to make some videos and, put my point of view out there. And of course, she got her panties in a bunch, and, now she hates my guts. Well, I give a fuck. I have an opinion, and you can either hear me out and you can get in the conversation, or you can take a big old giant 44-ounce cup of go fuck yourself. Okay? This is just outside the property. It's a wedding photo. And that is just kind of, these wedding photos are always weird to me. Just really cool. This is kind of a different shot. We can see those awnings really good. That's old glass right there. Oh, look at that ladder right there. That's crazy. Iron ladder. I'm sorry for all the pictures, y'all, but we got to, we got to do our homework here. Oh, here's another restoration picture. Not very good one, but there's that retaining wall they fixed. And I thought it was interesting about the ledger. I wish they had talked more about the ledger. What was, what did they use as a ledger? Why couldn't they reuse the same ledger? What was wrong with it? I thought that was really interesting. But he didn't really go into the detail that, other than saying it was a pain in the ass to get it out of there, which I thought was interesting too. See, the windows go on the inside. They hang the windows inside the structure, not on the outside. That might be an I-beam right there, maybe. There's I-beams in here somewhere because it's steel framed. See, there's a good one of the mortar joints. Why did the mortar not come out, geniuses? Where's the mortar at? Oh, it's still there. Well, the brick, it got so hot that it popcorned into a balloon rock, and then the mortar, it was impervious to the heat of the plasma event, the fervent heat. Oh, the fervent heat. Yeah, that's what it was. It was so fervent. It just couldn't fuck with the mortar, because the mortar was like really, really, really hard stuff. It was amazing. It just incredible. See, this is what they do. They go, oh, let me see if I can see something. Yep, it's melted. It's melted. Yep. See right there on the screen. There's a brick and it's turned into a stone. That's it. Fervent heat. Fucking lapdog to fucking Spartan Red. Fervent heat. All these people are fucking morons. Look, if you guys want to survive, you're going to have to start doing real research. Okay. Cause look, I found out this week, I did not know this, going back and researching. See, if you're going to do research, you got to go all in. Okay. And that's what I do. It ain't real hard, but it takes time, and I got time. I go in, I do the research. So starting back at the very beginning, I found out that 11 months ago, that the Meltology people on the Spartan Red channel were calling the mud flooders, get this, the mud tards. The Mudtards 11 months ago, and I just recently started calling the Meltology people the Meltards, and I did not know that. So they were wanting to complain. They're calling us tards. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, Lord. Oh, gosh. What kind of fucking asshole talks about calling people tards? Oh, Lord. Oh, me. Oh, my. And 11 months ago, they did it to us. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Because that's the pot calling the kettle black. If you leave in a glass house, don't throw fucking rocks. Okay? Simple as that. The Jiffy Popcorn crew, I got to give credit out to Ann Pearson. She cracked me up with that one this week. That was her idea. She said she's going to have to copyright that. I thought I was going to use it. I thought that was so funny. Okay. I'm really a very nice person, but I do not like... I'm going here. You better let me have my voice. You don't give me my voice, I'll rip your freaking larynx out. And I will. Here's the thing. I have extended my hand to give these people a chance to come clean. Okay. And they're ignoring me. They've talked shit. They've well, how could they expect me to come on and debate with no evidence? Because I thought it was up here, man. I figured everything I got's up here. I don't need pictures. Okay. I don't need to I could sit here all day with no pictures and I could tell you everything I know. I don't need to have a conversation with you with pictures or video. Okay. I don't need that. I do a 5-hour live stream every week by myself, and Oz is here, but Oz ain't in the show. You know what I'm saying? I do this by myself. It's coming from here. I figured somebody else that's, on my caliber could do the same thing. You're more than welcome to come and talk to me, Mr. Spartan Red or Jerry DeCamp, or, I want to talk to the people that are creating that theory. There's a bunch of bottom feeders, and all they are is regurgitating the same thing they've heard from them. And I could spend my time wasting my time going through their horse shit, or I could go straight for the jugular and take out the head of the snakes. They're part of their theory, and maybe a lot of you don't understand this is part of their theory. And this, let me be very clear to y'all about this. The Meltology theory that they have concocted claims that the mud flood did not happen, that there is no mud flood. Okay. So basically they're saying that everything we say in our research as mud flooders is not true, that we're liars. Okay. So they shot one across my bow. Okay. Now I'm going to take out their battleship. Simple as that. Okay. Why can't there be both? Why can we not have melted buildings and mud flood and geopolymer? Why can we not have a world with all three? Maybe there's some other things going on that we haven't got. What? Maybe there are some giant tree stumps. Some. Maybe. Why not? Some. Not a lot. I don't think there's a lot. Maybe there are some giants laying over the turned into petrified stones. Maybe. But is there a lot? I doubt it. You got some channels out there do the same thing. You got Mud Fossil University. They say everything's a mud fossil. I don't agree with that. Not everything's mud flood. Not everything's melted building. Not everything's geopolymer. Not everything's mud fossil. It's not all one thing. There's a whole lot of things going on here. Is geology correct? No, it's not. Look, God thought, I'm going to create this amazing realm, okay, for extensions of myself to go play in. And the creator created, okay? And we're sitting there scratching our head. Well, how in the world is it done? It must be melted. It's all melted. Look, everything looks melted. Well, maybe God designed it that way. You don't think God could create something that looks like a mountain? Does it have to work the way the geologists say? No. Nope.
It's the one and only Digo Double G.
Say woof again! Say woof again!
I've got one that can see.
This is my kung fu, and it is strong.
See you later.